Law. So like right off the bat, they're talking about like just general campaign difficulty and like early game speed, monsters being stronger than players, and used like the wolf zone as like kind of an example. It's like that's the first zone you get to where like you can just get swarmed, and I mean it's kind of the exact same Path of Exile 1. Like if you're just going fast, you walk into mudflats and you get fucked. It's like the exact same overall like layout, and I kind of like it. It's like it's like a welcome gift. It's like a hello and die, and that whole thing branched out into more just general campaign things. I really feel like campaign on good skills in terms of combat, especially after the nerf to monster HP, is gonna feel fine. Like so many of the problems with combat are just skill balance related. Like active skills have very large gaps mechanically and numerically on just like how good they are. And if you're playing good builds, you're having a good time. This patch, I think what like Huntress early on is weak, and a lot of the other good things also kind of got tuned down a bit. Like Herald's Monk Bell was fucked on League Start. They fixed it already. Caster leveling's always been kind of but like combat in this game when your character is weak is very frustrating. So as long as you play a build that is not weak, you'll have a good time. But like, really got to work on bringing those lower shitty skills up to just smooth the experience. So it's not like such a just huge gap in power. After that, I talked about campaign speedrunning on second characters. This is something that's really hard to fix. So like in Path of Exile 1, we have things like like good movement skills, Quicksilver, Onslaught. You have so many tools for high mobility right from the start, and then you can scale that into insane shit in the end game. That's probably a little too fast, but like, is what it is. In Path of Exile 2, your in-game mobility scaling options are so limited, and we'll talk more about this later, but like they're so limited that you can't really have things like 7 League Step for campaign speedrunning, because that'd be bis boots for every character for in-game forever. Like, speed is so restricted that you can't really provide too many tools for players to go faster in the campaign, because they would be in-game bis items. Like the only thing we have right now is like the amulet for rolling faster, and like it does make you go pretty fast. I think we saw speedruns from Havoc that were like sub 6 hours with Twinkier. And like it's decent. You definitely can get enough damage. Like second playthrough campaign feels a lot better for sure. Doing like 6 to 8 is reasonable second playthrough. Personally, I feel like 6 to 8 first playthrough should probably be the target goal, with second playthrough being like 4 to 6. 6 to 8 first for who? 6 to 8 first for like the people that can do sub 4 hours in Path of Exile 1. When you're staring down like a 15-hour to 18-hour campaign, if you don't like the campaign, your likelihood of coming back for every league is probably going to be a little lower. And making second characters definitely is less desirable when the campaign is as long as it is. So in Path of Exile 2, there's this really weird system when it comes to map generation, where like the character class and the league you are playing in drastically modify how zone layouts work. So like, for example, in the very first zone in campaign on Warrior in Hardcore Self-Found last league, and I think most classes in Hardcore Self-Found last league, you always went to the right for the skill gem and then left for the Devourer. But then I think it was like Ranger in Softcore, it was like reversed. Like skill gem left, Devourer right. And they cycle these whenever there's a new league, which means like if you can have a general idea of how layouts work, and it's like where the exits probably are. But then there's this like weird system where like you play a different class, or you play in a different league, and it's just like different. Like all of it is just like totally different from what you were used to, and that makes it not feel as good as Path of Exile 1. Like learning layouts in Path of Exile 1 feels really good because they're a little more consistent. And like a lot of them are in Path of Exile 2, but that big old shift right when the league start happens and everything gets shifted, the goal of it is to make the campaign feel more fresh, but like it just feels like it's going to take longer because like all of my instincts are wrong. All right, next thing talked about was 3 different sections on here are about movement speed, because like Ziz brought up move speed a lot. So in the in-game, campaign and in-game, lack of movement scaling options. Someone, when this was talked about, brought up like, why do Path of Exile 1 players feel like this needs to be a thing? Like the way that I see character power in these games, there's three systems. There's speed, there's offense, there's defense. currently speed basically doesn't exist as a vector of like scaling in PoE 2. You just don't have choice. The reason that I played Deadeye is because that part of the tree has move speed nodes. My Ascendancy has movement speed. If I played the left side of the tree build, there's nothing that I can do. And what I ran into last league was my Mace Strike character got to the point where I right-clicked and the screen exploded. And I was so unbelievably fucking bored because being that strong in PoE 2 is not fun. Like, being that strong in PoE 1 is very fun because, like, you're so fucking strong, your clear's crazy. Now you can, like, start, like, turning on the nitro boost, investing into crazy mobility, and, like, just going wild. In PoE 2, when my character is that strong offensively, there's just nothing more to do. There's no more progression. There's no more character improvement that I can do, and my game is done. Well, like once I reach the point where I can't improve my character, what am I doing? There needs to always be like some extra like layer, some extra goal, some extra target. And it's really hard to do that if speed is just completely not allowed to be changed in any way. You need to add like so much like really hard in-game content scaling, like Delve, so you have these like offensive and defensive thresholds you need to target. Because when it comes to base mapping, like I just want to go faster a lot of the time. Like Deadeye goes fast enough that it like feels kind of okay, but like walking around at 17% movement speed on a warrior will simply never be fun. Like I'm never going to be doing that and having a good time. It's just too slow. If they got rid of the armor penalty from armor and shield, you would be a little bit faster, like 30% instead of 17, and that would feel a lot better. But when you have like 17% movement speed and there's just fucking nothing you can do to improve it, it just feels bad. So I'm gonna play the classes that can go 50 to 70% instead of 17%. Hitting 80% should be attainable on all classes. Yeah, probably. Good point. Never not logging a ranger. Amen. Play bottom right side of the tree always. All right, next thing. Passive is weak at fixing short-term problems. Core issue is that the resistance requirements need to be solved only by gear, but we don't have control over what gear we get. Rune system is the band-aid for that, but there's no attribute runes. They talked in the interview about maybe adding attribute runes. This is something that, I mean, we've talked about this so much on this channel. Like, they explained why a little bit today with, like, the idea is that gear gives you the base stats, the base power, and the tree multiplies it. Which, it's a neat concept, but putting so much of your power into gear when a lot of your modifiers on gear are really just about reaching thresholds, like benchmarks, little things you just have to have, it doesn't always feel the best, because when you're in a scenario where it's like, oh fuck, I need like 17 more strength to like replace my ring with this new sick ring that I got, there's zero options for short-term inefficient solutions. So you just kind of have to wait until you get another upgrade that also has strength on it, and then another upgrade that has the dex that fixes the strength on that item. And then it can make it hard to do incremental gear upgrades because we don't have things like this, where it's just like, oh fuck, my build is bricked for now because I'm getting rid of an amulet that had int on it. Boom, we're done. But you don't want this. Like, having a point spent on int sucks. Like, this is bad. Your build's bad. So then eventually you fix it and get better gear and you get your point back. You reclaim your power. But having these like short-term solutions to stat requirements feels like really good. When it comes to resist, it's not as important because in PoE 2, especially throughout the campaign and early endgame, monsters are not balanced around you being res capped. In Path of Exile 1, you're expected to be res capped in Act 3 or 4. In PoE 2, it's like not even close to that. And honestly, I kind of don't like how it feels in the campaign because it just makes bosses too easy. Like, if you balance bosses around having 0 to 20% resist, but you can just put on 2 rings and have 60%, like if you know a boss does fire damage, it takes very little effort to be completely immune to its damage because it's balanced around 10-20%. You put on 2 rings and like 1 rune and you're like at 70 and it just does nothing. Like, the only bosses that I'm afraid of in the campaign at all do fizz damage because resist is like, it feels like too easy to be like res capped against the hard bosses. But yeah, like that whole section was kind of just about passive tree stuff. It's one of the reasons why I'm playing Trade League instead of Self-Found. It's like, a lot of these annoying problems where it's like, oh, I just have this super shitty, like I can't get 6 attributes, like my guy sucks, and there's no way to just like decide, oh fuck, I'm bricked, I'm gonna craft an upgrade right now to fix it. That doesn't exist in PoE 2. There is no on-demand crafting. Crafting is an incremental thing that happens during every map and after every map as you find bases. Because there's no scours or alts or like crafting bench, like it's pretty common in Path of Exile 1 in early game when I'm like, oh shit, I bricked my resist, open my essence tab, grab 4 like essences of like fire res, throw it on an item, craft life, and it's like we're chilling, we're good. But because there is no like instant on-demand crafting like that, because you need bases, you can run into these little problems where you just like your gear is like annoying to fix. So I'm just playing trade because like fuck it, I'll just buy it. I'll just buy an item on the trade that fixes it. Game's not balanced around self-found. I would like to see attribute runes. Actually, the runes that I would like to see are not plus attributes, but reduced requirement. There already are attribute soul cores that's like reduced requirement of this local base, but just generic global percent reduced attribute requirements. That way it's not OP for stat stackers, and it's just there to like temporarily fix your early game. Like there's this one wheel at the bottom, like this stat. Just a rune that does this, but it's like 5 for 10%. Just to have that temporary solution of like, ah shit, my build's bricked, let me fix it for now. They talked about masteries, they exist in Path of Exile 1, why not 2? I don't think masteries would fit into this game as well as Path of Exile 1. Like when you have a tree like this in PoE 1, like I'm gonna go and get like 4 life clusters, I'm gonna get like a couple lightning clusters on a lightning build, I'm gonna get like a lot of the same type. So when there's like this list of 6 masteries, you know, you can actually take multiples of them. It doesn't feel like the tree in this game kind of works the same way. Like on a crossbow thing, there's only 2 crossbow like things in the entire tree. And there's like so many like random 2-point things, and it's just like, I don't think it would really fit as easily into this. And there's all these like generic things, like what kind of mastery goes on like this? Things aren't as is thematic the right word? Things aren't as like pigeonholed into like affecting only one thing to easily fit masteries in. So like, I don't think those will appear. I don't think they need to. Like Jonathan's point about masteries downplaying notables is kind of valid because like the mastery is generally like more desirable than the notable, or it was when they first came out, and then they kind of nerfed masteries a lot the next patch. But I don't think masteries need to exist in this game. Defense harder to skill than offense. In general, just like ability to scale defense as a player. I think Ziz definitely is right that currently scaling defense in PoE 2, there's not that many options, and they're extremely imbalanced. And this is also going to talk about armor and a few other things about like mandatory layers. And this is why like I'm probably going to be playing high ES builds until there's balance changes, because it's just reliable defense. This is mainly a hardcore issue, but if defense isn't reliable, it's worthless. Like things like playing 1.5k life in Acro, you just can never do. You gotta have like reliable defense. And ES works on everything. Every damage type, whether it's evadable, whether it's not, whether it's blockable, whether it's not. Like all 5 types, ES works on everything. When I spec an ES node, my character gets better versus everything. By a lot too, not just by a little. These numbers are fucking huge. So like defense feels good because if I want more of it, I can get more of it. I can decide, oh shit, I'm gonna path up here and get this ES. It's good, it works, it's reliable, I like it. When you're playing like a pure evasion build where you don't have ES, and you're like, oh fuck, this ability is doing like too much damage to me. I want to have higher max hit. I want to not get 2 shot, I want to get 3 shot. I want to not get 1 shot, I want to get, I want to survive barely. Your options are nothing. There's nothing you can do. There's, at least on the tree, like there's no life nodes. Strength, attribute pathing is genuinely like your choice for how you get defense in that scenario. And that's like plus 10 life. You can spec into more evasion, but if the hit's not evadable, it doesn't do anything. Or if you don't evade, like you just like, if you're in this part of the tree, and you're like, I want to be tankier versus big hits, it doesn't exist. If you're over here, you can like click some of the bigger strength nodes, and generally you have strength scaling. And there actually are some life nodes over here as well. Not many, but there are some. They exist in some ways, so you can kind of do that. But ES is by far the best and most reliable at this. I feel like with the current ES numbers, the only way that it would be balanced is if there was like genuinely no way to recover ES in combat. So basically what I'm saying is this keystone is broken as fuck. This keystone cannot exist at the same time as these ES numbers. Like ES needs to be like this super clunky, shitty, recharge only mechanic if it's going to be this easy to get so much ES. I love the keystone. I love the hybrid shit. It's good, but definitely OP as fuck. Armor. Armor's dog shit. Let's talk about why armor's dog shit. Armor only works on fizz damage. There's no way to really modify that reliably. There's like this, so it applies to fire, but this is changed in PoE 2 to apply before resist instead of after. It's supposed to. Well, it works on fizz damage of any type. But like, there's 5 damage types in the game, and then there's 2 damage, like, we'll call them like subtypes in the game, where it's like avoidable, not avoidable. Like evadable, blockable, and then not evadable, blockable. So there's like, that makes it 10 total damage types. Armor works on 2 of them. Physical only, blockable and non-blockable. But it sucks. If I'm getting hit by a big physical hit, speccing into ES is way better than speccing into armor. If I'm getting hit by small physical hits, speccing into block and evasion is way better than speccing into armor. Assuming it is blockable or evadable. Like the one damage type of those 10 where armor actually is pretty good is when you're taking lots of small, non-evadable, non-blockable hits, which I don't like. That's a very niche thing. And because there's nothing like Molten Shell or some way to convert armor into like reliable defense, it's just never the best at versus like any monster type of damage. Like right off the bat, Fire, Cold, Lightning, Chaos, armor is worthless unless you have one of the niche things that converts armor into that. So like every point you spend into armor only works on 2 out of the 10 damage types. And then when you're actually taking those 2 out of 10 damage types, it's often not even the right choice. Because like big fizz hits, armor just gets fucking crushed into oblivion. Small fizz hits, like we said, evasion and block. It's really hard to ever justify speccing into armor currently. Like block feels great. It's why like all these builds over here, as long as you simply click 2 or 3 block clusters and wear a shield, you're gonna feel fine. But like playing the game currently with like the current defensive setup without evasion or block feels really rough because you just get like blasted when there's like lots of small things. But block is really OP because shields roll like 45 block or something, so it's really easy to get block cap. But you know, have a shield, have evasion. If you don't, you're gonna have a bad time. It's why Ziz is not having a good time on his character. Like he was listing all of his like mitigation based defenses, like cloak and like fizz convert elsewhere and like all kinds of stuff. But it's like it doesn't really matter. Like all this max res, great. I'd rather have 7k evasion than 90 max res. Like you gotta have some avoidance. Avoidance is really important, which is why ES evasion. Like ES evasion is my home until there's like pretty big changes. It's like ES evasion or strength stack with block. Like those are the 2 defensive cores that I need my build to be able to use to play them in hardcore. And softcore, if I can care, just have a good time. Have a good time. Also, delete minions from the game. What's next? Arbiter abilities, one shot, no comment, and shit mistakes. Yeah, there was some talk about like Arbiter in general. What makes a good boss fight? So, to me, the thing that feels best about losing a boss fight is being overwhelmed by multiple different things that caused a mistake or like one egregious error that you just shouldn't do. And talking about like really good boss fights, like Path of Exile 1 Pinnacles, like on Exarch, if the Exarch balls one-shot you, that's because you didn't put any effort at all into your character defensively, and them 2-shotting you is very easy to make it happen. So like It's really chaotic. There's a fucking dog there hunting you down. As long as all these abilities like two-shot you, it feels good because it requires some kind of cascade of mistakes. Maybe you step on a rune, get -5 fire res, and then get hit by a ball. Maybe you get hit by a ball, get stunned, panic, dash into a ball. Like it's like a cascade of like chaos that causes you to become overwhelmed and fuck up. Unlike Uber Elder, it's like there's an ad you have to kill that's gonna shit in the floor. Elder is shooting proj at you, and then Shaper starts beaming, and like you're in a corner, and like you had to avoid a different Degen puddle. It's like multiple different things that overlap to create a situation that's dangerous, and then you die. And then inside of those scenarios, there's also single event one shots, which I think that's a very important distinction and why they feel good. Like a lot of stuff's happening, and then Shaper slams. There's 2 clones of Shaper throwing beams and balls and stuff, and then Shaper slams. And there's this one like decisive moment where you need to avoid this slam or you die. And I think that feels really good. Arbiter, the one-shots aren't like that. It's just like, here's a phase where Arbiter casts 12 beams in a row, and they all one-shot you and nothing else is happening. And it's just like this really like kind of like boring pass-fail compared to the hectic nature of like a Shaper Slam sneaking in during some other mechanics. Like the version of Arbiter one-shots that feel a lot better is in phase 2, he does like a slam, spawns a beam, and then, or no, he spawns a circle that explodes, and then he beams it, and then you go in at the end, and this can happen like while there's balls that are expanding from like a flaming sword on the ground, but there's only one. There's one explosion, so there's things happening, and you have to not fuck up the one explosion. But then in phase 1, it's just like he just does 10 one-shots in a row and does nothing in between, and it doesn't feel as good. Like the breach boss feels fucking great with like the hammer fisting happening because the boss is active. He's fucking you. He's got some big hits that can probably one-shot you, but like they come in batches of 1, but there's these like dynamic spawning hammers that happen during different times of the boss's like spell queuing, so you have to like react just dynamically. Like when he's doing hand cannons and the hammers spawn at the start of the hand cannons, you have to like modify how you like when you dodge roll, where you go, how much distance you maintain from the boss, versus if they happen like right before the hand cannons, right after. And there's like the most important thing is that failure should be the result of like a cascade of mistakes, not just like there's nothing happening except for one ability and you goof by a little bit. So Arbiter phase 1, not a fan, never was. Everything else, like all the other bosses, I enjoy for the most part. Armor is bad. Let's talk about why. Already did that. Pushing is too common. This is gonna sound fucking repetitive because like shit, I've talked about pushing a lot. Pushing has a place in the game. A monster walking should never push you in any scenario. Should a monster walking at you be able to push you? A monster charging you, like the roly-polies, Roas kind of thing, like, I get it. Big-ass boss ability pushing you when it fucking swipes you, I get it. It makes sense. But when, like, some random trash monster just, like, walks in my direction and my character starts getting pushed, it just shouldn't be a thing. Unbearings make you immune. There's a lot of things they could do to like modify it so you can scale into like push resistance, but like it just should be a little bit like it should only be ability based. Like you got hit by an ability, you are being pushed. Like you stood in the charge, you got swiped by the boss. The boss just fucking punched you with his big ass hands and it knocked you back. It needs to be ability based, never just a target. Like a monster is literally default attacking and walking towards you. And like their hitbox somehow pushes you. Like that just needs to not be a thing. Ascendancy Respec, yes or no? I don't give a fuck personally. I feel like a lot of people are passionate about this one way or the other on Ascendancy Respecs. Even in Path of Exile 1, never did it very often. Path of Exile 2, never been in the scenario where I desire it. Like if it's there, cool. If it's not cool, like I don't really care. The campaign being so long means that like sure I'd like the option. I'd like the option to be there, but if they never add it, like it's probably never going to matter. I think a big part of that is probably hardcore. My characters die. They don't last to the point where I want to do something different. Like, I do something different after it dies. It's not like while playing it. Movement speed and the inability to scale it as a player. I love how this is the third time move speeds came up. Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of already covered that in all of the first ones. The first talks about it. Making it so only certain classes have, like certain classes and parts of the tree have any ability to modify their speed in any way is a little too restrictive. Like, players don't need to be able to reach 400 move speed and just like blink around the map at Mach 3, but like every archetype should have tools to scale move speed in some way to at least like 70 to 100% movement speed ish. Or the equivalent of that with movement skills like Leap Slam. And also remove the armor penalty on movement speed from everything. Like, wearing a chest piece that gives you movement speed shouldn't be able to lower your movement speed because the armor penalty is a less multiplier that can outweigh the increased move speed of the body armor itself. Like, I don't know. Fuck the armor penalty on movement speed, it's weird. Or if you're gonna keep it, at least put it in the game so people know it's there. Like, it doesn't, it's totally hidden and invisible, and map completion, rares, backtracking, etc. This one's obviously been a pretty big point of contention for a while. They improved it by making it so you can see all rares after there's sub 200 monsters available in the map. Occasionally this isn't enough, and in certain layouts like Crypt, maybe there's like a thing in the middle you missed. In like Mire, like it's kind of similar, but these annoying little things. Rares from the start is coming. I didn't hear what they said about that, but like personally, I think the best solution to rares and backtracking and stuff is to just to make it so when you are near a rare, like within like, you know, loot range, a screen and a half or so, it's on the minimap. And then keep if it goes below 200 monsters, you can see it globally. But the idea of having all rares visible on the map globally from the start, I don't like it too much. People will not just play on the minimap from that alone. Like playing on the minimap, to me, doesn't feel like a thing at all in PoE 2. Like, the only time I do it is when I have to. But I find myself in Pathfinder 1 always playing off the minimap. There's no rares on the minimap in Pathfinder 1. That's not a thing. The reason you play off the minimap is because the game is so fast, you clear so fast, that it's the best way to take in information on where you should go next. In PoE 2, you don't go that fast. So you don't really need to, and often you know, just kind of like, you want to look at the monsters. You want to fight them. You want to see what they're doing. You have to react to their content. Because like you know, if the combat is a little bit slower, then like you need to kind of see what's happening. But like just like seeing rares on the minimap for sure would not be very like meaningful in how you play the game. Like 90% of the time you're in a map, you're not attacking a rare monster. You're like killing trash and walking. And if you don't see it until you're close to it, like all that time you're walking, you wouldn't be looking at the yellow minimap. It just feels particularly bad with certain monsters like birds and like things that come out of the ground, because they're like not active monsters until you walk within like 2 feet of them, and then you can see that they're rare and they appear. So just if we had that minimap thing, only if you're close, it'd help you avoid those scenarios. But and also they already improved map layouts a lot this patch, which has modified this problem. Like before, some of the shittiest map layouts, it was really easy to like miss a rare in like some little like corner somewhere. They fixed the Valve Factory. It's a lot better now. Crypt is a lot better now, but it still has like that little inside section that occasionally is bad. Like making map layouts a little bit more like streamlined, where it's like hard to miss sections, helps with that as well. All right, last thing, at least I think last thing, Atlas progression as a whole, map sustain, going up in tiers, Nexus stuff, Atlas points. This one's a pretty big one, and there's like a few different sections. I don't really know how I feel about being able to like instantly go to T15 so fast. Like if you just target boss maps, you can be in T15s in like an hour from like when you first got to maps, right? Like it's really fast. as long as your character's strong enough, you can just blast off. And I guess like maybe that's a good thing that you have the choice of doing so. But one thing that does feel kind of weird is like how fast you get to 15s versus how much progression you get on your Atlas. Why is it bad? There should be a lot of gear progression that occurs as you progress through your Atlas from 1 to 15. And currently, yeah, like it really doesn't feel like there's much difference between 1 to 15. I feel like the gap from tier 1 to 15 in Path of Exile 1 is like 3 times bigger in terms of overall difficulty than in PoE 2. And I don't really know what the solution is. I just know it doesn't feel like it's where it should be. But also, like, with how little loot you get in your Atlas progression phase, if it was a lot harder as it increased in tier, like, you're not really getting the upgrades required to gain the power. But then not so much about tiers, but the Atlas itself as a whole, how you get points. This one is something that was massively changed. Before last patch, there was this kind of filler thing that was very, not very inspired, where it's just like, do 10 maps of the tier, you get 2 points. 10 maps of the next tier, you get 2 points. Very basic, very bland, not interesting. But it did fit better with the rest of the Atlas system than the current one. Like the new one is way more interesting, but there's just one very glaring problem. The way that the game and the Atlas tree, not tree, the way the Atlas works is you go to towers, you go to decrepit zones, you use tablets, you juice local areas, and then you clear them because they're juiced. You've made them better. They're cleansed, there's tablets, there's good mods. So that's incentivizing you to stay in one place and full clear an area and not explore. And then the whole Nexus Decrepit Zone progression to get your points is the exact opposite. It's telling you, do not stay in one place. Do not farm those maps in the towers. Do not full clear cleanse zones. You need to just explore and find your towers first. It's like they're two exactly opposite things on what it wants you to do. Get towers, keep moving, then juice. That's kind of what I did as well. Except one thing is like, when you clear that cleanse zone in a tier 4 map with 6 mods, that tower, when you come back to it the next day, is you didn't clear it with a T15, so it's like it's going to cover less maps when you put tablets on, but it's not that big of a deal. But like this issue of like needing to do this first thing before you can juice properly into the second thing isn't always a bad thing. I think the only reason it's problematic in PoE 2 is the amount of time it takes. It took me 40 hours from fresh start to get all 40 points when that was my only goal, was pushing exploration, which was like 28 hours of mapping. Like 28 hours of mapping where like I wasn't really interacting with towers or cleanse zones in any meaningful way. I was only exploring. And obviously hardcore, so I'm just going slower than I could. I didn't really buy tablets for going faster. Like if I wanted to in software trade, I could have made that a lot faster. But still, just like it also could be the case that like we don't know how the out system works and it's not even efficient to do that. Because there was some talk of the amount of maps you clear affecting how many citadels you get. So if you clear like 70 maps in a small area and then you explore afterwards, you're going to find a bunch of citadels because they're like queued up or some shit. And it's possible that corrupted zones work the same way. I'm not sure. But because like I only have my own experience to go by. I don't know what everyone else is doing, what the other streamers are doing. Like most people in chat were saying like they were in T15s with like 6 points. Like still on like their T3 or T4 Nexus. And that, obviously it's EA, new system, not final at all. There's definitely something that's going to change there in the future. It feels a little bit too disconnected on like, it's like the game is telling you to do 2 different things. If you only had to do like 2 Nexuses per section of map instead of 1 for each tier, just like 2 in white maps, 2 in yellow, 2 in red, it'd probably feel a little closer. But like maybe they also just want you to not have full Atlas points for a long time. It's possible that's just the goal, is that it's like very slow. Up against one of the being asked to show his Atlas, and his response was, I don't have one. Yeah, I did the opposite. Like, I just completely ignored juicing entirely until I finished the Atlas, because that's just how I like to play the game. I like to just set a goal and work toward it, and then move on to the next one. What else is here in this section? Map sustain. I don't have enough data myself to be able to say one way or the other if it's in a good place or not. To me, as long as you target boss maps in some way, sustaining tiers of maps is very easy to just sustain. But the thing is, because you can't roll maps in PoE 2, and modifiers on maps are extremely powerful. Like, the gap in a map that has 140 rarity versus a map that doesn't have 140 rarity is genuinely fucking huge. And because you can't roll them, to consistently put in maps that are good,
tip $10.
You need to over-sustain by a big amount. Not just like run a map, get a map. You need to get a lot of extra maps. Currently, I'm running 3-mod maps in hardcore, so like it's probably a lot better if your build's strong enough, or you're just playing softcore, so you can run 6-mod maps, because you're going to get way more maps when doing that. And it's kind of like a, what's the term? Like a positive feedback loop. Like, because you can run more maps, you get more maps, you can then roll more maps, so you can get better maps, and then more maps, you just get a bunch of shit. That's probably a hardcore problem. I am easily sustaining 15s. Most of my maps have at least one beneficial prefix on them. They're not always like the best triple rarity prefix stuff, but like they always have at least like pack size or rarity or number of rare monsters, and it feels mostly fine with where I am. If you're opening maps a brick, oh yeah, but that's like a hardcore thing. It's one of those things. Like, this is I suspect that the current map sustain, in softcore trade, is in a very good place, and it's like not quite enough over sustain to be easy in hardcore, but like it doesn't need to be. The game's not balanced around hardcore. That's fine. Like, I just accept that the average map that I put in is less rewarding than someone in softcore, and like that's fine. You would say it's too easy to sustain at the moment. Personally, I never want sustain to be genuinely challenging. I don't find it like an interesting form of like, I don't know, difficulty. Like, the difficulty should be running the map, not being able to put the map in. That's just generally where I'm at on that. That does pivot to another thing in general. I still really dislike the entire way that map mods roll in PoE 2, because prefixes give rewards, suffixes give difficulty, and waystone drop chance. The way it is right now, risk and reward are completely disconnected. There's no relevance to danger versus reward, and that feels bad. Like, the most ideal map for me is a map that has like 3 prefixes that all give good rewards that don't make it harder, and then like one like suffix that doesn't do anything to get a little bit of waystone drop chance, so I sustain. Like, that's an ideal map. But I feel like an ideal map should be one that is like, danger should scale rewards. That's kind of all there is to it. Like, risk and reward need to be linked. Removing the old system of Path of Exile 1, where every single mod just gave you quant, rarity, and pack size, just feels weird to me. Suffixes do increase a little bit without investment. They do. You get 2% increased effect per modifier, but it's very small. Like, the way it worked in Path of Exile 1, you just wanted the most number of mods possible, usually. There were some systems where it was different, and obviously in 17 it's different, but it just meant like, if your build was able to consistently run maps that have 8 modifiers on them, like much harder maps, 8 things, whoa, it would always be generically better than a map that had like 4. Old system was good, don't think it's not broken. The biggest problem that I had with the old system was there wasn't a big enough disparity in rewards for the easy map mods versus the hard map mods. Like, for example, with the old system, when you got like 8 quantity for like monster variety, which does nothing, you would get 12 quantity for 130% physical as fire, which is super fucking dangerous. So like, the biggest problem I had with the old system was kind of the same problem I have with the new system. just in general, risk and reward not being properly linked. Like a map mod that barely makes it harder should probably give like a third of the quantity of a map mod that makes it really fucking hard, like minus max, pen, crit, multi-proj, haste. Like the gap there in Path of Exile 1 isn't quite as, it's not quite as big as it should be. But then in Path of Exile 2, the gap is infinite. You know, they're completely disconnected between risk and reward. Random mob types is what's the problem. Bad mob RNG, map goes from okay to shitstorm. Mob types in PoE 2 don't feel super random. Like certain tile sets seem to consistently have certain monsters, a little bit more so than in Path of Exile 1. But yeah, like, you know, monster balance isn't final. I personally haven't felt like I haven't felt like there's crazy outliers on monsters where it's just like certain ones are unfair and they just fuck you, which I'm honestly surprised about. Like that's one of the things I expected in EA was some monsters that are just total bullshit. But like Path of Exile 1 after 10 years had like worse monster balance than PoE 2. Like yeah, fucking Revenants, Sunder mobs, they hurt, but like are you talking about the Sunder, like the Act 1, like big guys with the tombstones that slam the ground and do a shockwave? Or are you talking about the knights that slam the ground and do a 360? Like if you're getting hit by the Sunders, like don't, you know? For like 3k. They hit me for like 1k. Like I personally face tank them all the time and don't give a fuck. I just life pot. But if your map has like 3 suffixes always and there's like crit extras fire, like sure it gets out of control, but like fuck it, play Deadeye, brother. Have Windward. But like when you're putting in 6 mod maps in every map, not caring about the damage mods, and scaling full map effect, and getting hit by things that are avoidable, you should die. That's you should die. That's okay. They all screen you. They're not even allowed to slam until they're within, I think, 8 units, 8 metries of you. You can outrange them on bow builds, and they can't attack you. But you're fast, then fucking dodge them. What do you mean you're fast? Oh, I love it. But yeah, no, like monster balance in general feels pretty good. Honestly, I've been more on the side of like, I've been on the side of like monsters probably do a little bit less than they should. Like a lot for a long time in 0.1, even on builds that didn't feel super strong, on death mechanics and ground things were what I was most concerned about. And monsters just like deciding to fuck me up with their abilities didn't seem super common. It's much more like Archnem based, ground effect based, generic stuff. It's like I like those kind of log dudes, the bloaters that explode. Like I like running into monsters where like I know they have telegraph danger and I avoid it. Like that feels good to me. When it's like instant, I don't like lots of ground things that are lingering, but things like a crossbow guy decided to shoot you for 1,000 damage with a crossbow that you can avoid. You know, the slow fireball things, slams, like non-lingering, just like the monster decides to attack you and it hurts. The game needs more of that. And PoE1 does as well. Just like a simple, just straightforward, like the monster fucking attacks you with a big old thing and you got hit by it and you shouldn't have. Long ground degen. That's something that we could have talked about in the boss section a little bit. In Path of Exile 1, like every in-game boss, almost every in-game boss, but like almost all of them have some sort of arena denying mechanic that the player controls or doesn't control that makes the fight harder over time. That's like not in any of the PoE2 bosses, right? There's like none of that as far as I can think. It's just like it was like a very core part of Path of Exile 1 bosses. Like you had, like as the fight went harder, if you kept on fucking up, you like your arena would get bricked and then you would like lose. Viper boss only for a bit. I think some bosses like Viper boss, Titan boss, Jamonra, those the arena gets smaller over time as they lose HP, but it's not like something the player controls, and it can never get to the point where everything is covered, except for the Molten guy. That is true. The Molten guy has a hard enrage timer, but if the lava hits the end of the platform, just delete your character, I think. Like, that's a go next angle. That's a Ventura log out and delete the character clip. Sanctum floor 3 boss, kinda. I think kind of on that one, but I think the next time the boss burrows, the old sand, quicksand things go away, I think. Act 2, Water Goddess Fire God, you can break the forge that denies the arena. I never even knew that. I want to try to, next time I fight that boss, I'm going to try to break a forge. I had to get up early to watch early, 2 p.m. To catch this interview, and I'm glad I did, because god damn, that was a banger of an interview.